at 6 o'clock. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I don't think we had anybody registered. We don't have any guests this week. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second. Questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And that includes the resignation of Terrence Murphy as assistant health coach. We'll move to administrator reports then and begin with Mr. Schaefer tonight.
Oh, thank you. I'm not sure why we're so far away from you, but hope you can hear us. Just wanted to really highlight both our middle school and high school staff. But first of all, with high school finals, those were scheduled for Thursday, Friday. We had the cold day, and with that comes a lot of scheduling changes. A lot of our staff covering classes, helping to make sure that it happens, and just put a wrinkle in things. And I'm really proud of our high school staff and how they handled the change, and I'm grateful for many of our staff that supported each other when we had to cover classes, because when you have shared staff, those shared schedules, and we're doing the blocks, it's kind of a big process. So a huge thank you to all of them. And another one I really wanted to highlight is our intervention meetings that we have both at the middle school and high school, along with our spec ed staff, in support before the start of the second semester, where we review where our students are at, their academic needs, where we can, there's a strong collective investment from everybody to make sure that we're not missing any students. And obviously in our strong push for growth, everybody doing their part, sharing their experiences with students and looking at data, talking about them. And many times we set the meeting to be a hard 40 minutes and they went a lot longer than that, and just speaks to the investment of both our middle school and high school teachers, our ELA and math teachers that really are working hard to ensure that our students are learning and growing every day.
Thank you. Mr. Schaefer.
I went. If it wasn't good enough, I can do it again.
Oh. That's because I'm typing, Mr. Schaefer, with your comments. Sorry. Mr. Hiltz.
Thank you. Just a couple of quick highlights. The first one is the spelling bee. It's in the report, but since then, I just wanted to let you know that Evelyn Alexander, who's in 3rd grade, finished 2nd, and Grace Hartle from 4th grade finished 1st, and she will represent our school next month at the Regional B. The other thing to highlight, also something that was in the report but took place since then, is our presentation at the school board conference convention last Thursday. It was interesting. I don't know if I would say enjoyable for someone who doesn't like public speaking, but it was a really neat experience to be able to share all the great things that are happening here. A highlight of that was that there was a reporter from the Wisconsin Public Radio who was there, and she interviewed us afterwards and wrote up an article, and I printed out a copy so everybody's got that at their place. So it was neat. It was really good. We had a decent turnout. I'm a bad guesstimate at numbers in a room, but I'd say somewhere between 50, 75.
Aaron, you had over 200 people in that room.
Really? Wow. Okay. See, if I had known that, I probably would have been more nervous. Same thing, right? So, no, it was good, and a lot of good questions. Since the article came out, we did get contacted by at least one school asking about the poverty simulation and how that ran, to get more information so they can do something like that at their school. And I'd anticipate a couple more people reaching out over time.
Thank you for doing that.
Very good.
Absolutely.
I heard it was excellent, and I know a school board member from more in the middle of the state at the school, and she called to say how great it was.
Oh, good.
So,
Thank you.
If I could just add to that I had several people stop me after the presentation to say how much they enjoyed it and how helpful it was. And we did have one man come up to us after the presentation who said this was the best one that he had attended at the convention.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you too to the other people at Sue and Randy and Katie Gruters was also there, and having that teacher perspective was really important. Was something that she could add a couple of things that I think really added some additional validity to what we were talking about. So.
Was that the article? Was that the article? Okay, because
Yeah.
they quoted her in that
Yes.
article.
Yes, they did.
Good. We all had the athletic director and gifted and talented report, so if you had questions, you could direct those. Superintendent's report?
I did have the opportunity to attend the WASB annual conference in Milwaukee. And the theme was really connected to the work that this school district has been doing for the last 5 to 7 years, and focusing on relationships, focusing on culture. Several of the keynote speakers really addressed that individual connection to students and how important that was. And that's the work that's really gotten us to be able to showcase the work that we did in that presentation. The other theme that I think is really important for us and aligns directly to our strategic plan is the work that we're starting to do around artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence is like the calculator. It's not going to go away, and we need to make sure that we put the parameters and the boundaries around it as a district to be able to leverage it, to use it in a positive way, but also to make sure that our students understand the negative pieces and they know how to navigate that so that we don't use it inappropriately or unintentionally. So that'll be some of the work as we continue to move forward, really talking about that framework of implementation. So it was a great couple of days, great opportunity to network with other districts and just learn from each other. But it was probably the most packed session our team had, and it was actually about 280 chairs in there. So it was phenomenal, and there was standing in the back. So a lot of people listening to our story of defying the odds and closing that gap of our poverty students. So nice job.
Thank you.
If I could add to your comments, Randy, about AI, I attended a session put on by the Milwaukee School District, and they went into a lot of detail of how they are using AI for curriculum development and for staff evaluation. And they do have some very good materials, which I will get copies of because one of their board members serves on the WASB board, and I will be seeing him next month and get more of that information, bring it back to you.
Thank you. Daniel,
Yes.
do you have anything you want to report to us, or?
Well, I did say last time that I've been working with the student council, and although I don't have any items now, which in a way is kind of good because I don't think any of the items have had to snowball to the point where they get too complicated. But that's one of our goals for second semester. We do want to target a little more complicated things, so that's something I want to look out for as well.
Okay.
I'll just piggyback and say that the water fountain is now removed from the hallway.
Yes.
At the 9th grade hallway. That water fountain has been a target by a student population for the last 2 years, if not 3. And we successfully got that water fountain removed. So students are able to pass in the hallway a little quickly. So thank you to the work that Daniel did to be able to make that happen.
I don't have anything to report. Athletic committee?
We met as a group last week, and we have a couple items coming up on the field and the athletic code. Those are the 2 discussion items. Jeff?
No, that was it. Pretty much that stuff's coming up on the agenda.
Building and grounds?
We met a couple weeks ago, or a week ago. We decided to delay the purchase or replacement of a van that was demolished or in an accident. We seem to have sufficient vehicles for staff to use. And we also have, you know, the 2 transit vans that we use for student transport. So we elected not to replace that van. We did also talk about the locker room survey, and that's on the agenda tonight. Jeff was going to help us with some spatial analysis of the locker rooms and start looking at getting some estimates on some of these suggestions that will show up at tonight's meeting on the survey. And I guess the memorandum of understanding, that's on the agenda tonight too, between the town of Sevastopol and our athletic department. So we touched on that a little bit, but we'll be discussing that tonight.
Policy committee, we've got policies.
Yes, the
We got
policy
policies.
committee has been very busy, as you can see from the agenda. And we have another meeting coming up, Randy, on the 9th, is it?
Yes, yep.
Do you have anything timely that we need to know about legislatively, Sue?
Well, I will have a detailed report on the Policy and Resolutions Committee, delegate assembly, but just a couple of things that I did want to mention is that the decoupling proposal did get voted down, which in my mind was a good thing, because all it did, in my mind, again, was to further hide the amount of money that the vouchers are getting. And then there was an emergency resolution which called upon, and you're seeing some of this because Randy sent out some material, called upon all districts to let our legislators know that what we need for special ed funding is some sufficient, not some certain. And right now, we were told that we might be getting 45% reimbursement, but it's looking more like it's going to be 38%, which has really been difficult for many school districts. So those 2 areas were important to us. And I think that we're going to see a real push from school districts throughout the state with the legislators to let them know we need that money. And when they say they're going to give us 45%, that's what they need to give us, not something less.
Okay, yep, we saw that, or I hope everybody saw that. Thank you. We'll move on to old business then, and we have a calendar revision request.
Yes, thank you. So after really digging into the calendar, staff noticed that the professional development day in January fell the Friday before the end of the semester. And that January day is really an opportunity for them to pull together grades for the end of the semester. So they requested that we move that professional development day from the 18th to the 25th. So that's the only change, so that it comes in after the semester. Did I miss anything, Mr. Schaefer? So I apologize for that and appreciate your consideration.
Is there a motion on that?
Make a motion to approve the amended calendar.
Second?
Questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Then we have the Sevastopol Town Memo of Understanding on the Sevastopol ball fields. Anybody want to?
Sure. So we've
Take
been
that,
working
discuss
with
it.
the town of Sevastopol to really help outline the work that needs to happen on the baseball field so that we're able to use them in the spring when we run into some of the issues with drainage and things like that. So we created an MOU that clearly is beginning to articulate. I don't want to say clearly articulate because it's still a work in progress, and we'd still like to see a bit more clarity in the MOU as we move forward into the next couple of years. But right now, we believe it's a really good step to help define roles and responsibilities and who is accountable. And it also helps us understand where the dollars that we give for the MOU, which is $10,000 a year to the town of Sevastopol to help maintain those ballpark fields. So administration is seeking approval on the MOU for the 26-27 school year.
I'll make a motion to approve the MOU for the Sevastopol ball fields for the 26-27 school year.
Second?
A motion and a second. Are there further questions or discussion?
Can I just have a sarcastic question?
Sure.
Who helps subsidize the town for the racquetballs, of course?
Racquetball, you mean the?
Pickleball?
Pickleball.
The leagues.
We don't,
No idea.
we don't know.
That's all I gotta say.
We just play baseball. Softball.
I'm just saying because in most towns, they would be happy to pay their local school district expenses for the town. It isn't like, you know.
It
It's all
is-
tax dollars.
Huh?
It's all tax dollars.
I know, it is in other communities too.
I understand.
Okay, I'm listening.
It's a good point. It's been a difficult working relationship, but
understand.
it's moving forward.
I understand the chairman's not.
Better now than we were a couple, 2-3 years ago.
Right.
Yes, Brooks has
Yeah.
done a lot of work in that span
So
of time.
that's
that-
point well taken. We'll move to the new business, and then we have a resolution for approval of a resolution authorizing
approve
entry
this,
into
ma'am?
an intergovernmental cooperation agreement.
Do we have to approve this? No.
We didn't vote on it.
We didn't vote on it.
You didn't vote, I'm
First and
sorry.
a second. That was the discussion.
There's a motion, a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Thank you, Mr. Warwick, you threw me off.
A lot of people said.
So then we have this this resolution to approve the intermental.
So Sevastopol has been a part of the WISC membership before. What it allows us to do is to invest dollars in a cooperative, generally getting a better rate than if we're just investing dollars individually. And so for us just to stay in compliance, we needed to bring the resolution forward. So it's not new, it's just we're updating the resolution, or creating a resolution.
Do we have a
I make a
specific
motion.
resolution that we need to read, or is it
It
just?
is in your packet on page 22.
Okay,
I don't
yeah.
know that you need to read the entire thing.
Okay, that's my question. Do we need to read the entire thing or
Can we
just
just say
approve
I think if
it?
you can just read the motion with the title, you should be good.
Okay,
I make a motion to approve resolution 2526-04, approval of authorizing entry into an intergovernmental cooperation agreement.
Second.
questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. But you're glad you didn't have to read that whole thing. Then we have the nursing contract.
So DCMC approached me mid-January to inform us that they are no longer going to be providing the school nursing portion of our contract with them. They provide us with our athletic trainer, we do PT contracting with them, but they will be no longer providing the nurse portion. So the school district uses a 0.5 from DCMC. So I am seeking board approval to post for a 0.5 internal position. And I'll bring the job description and the cost to you in February for approval before we would post.
So this is an internal search?
This would be a Sevastopol employee, yeah.
Are there any other, like, providers that can provide this service without, like, the district taking on another
FTE. I'd have
You
to
know, I
look
mean,
to
I know
Dr. Gaida.
we ran into this a couple of years ago when we lost the contract for AP services and we had to hire our own, which comes with, you know, I know we saw the breakdown of the cost and it was much cheaper contracting than it is for the district to take that on. So I'm just asking, like, for instance, Belen or Aurora, could they offer nursing services at a kind of similar to what Door County did, with saving money? I would just ask for that analysis as well.
There are companies that provide nursing services to school districts that have reached out. And so we'll absolutely look at that to see if it makes more financial sense to contract with them. Tasha and I have looked at the numbers and we're pretty sure we should be able to post and hire for comparable to what we were paying DCMC. DCMC had raised that contract fee last year, so I'm pretty confident that we can do it internally, matching the benefits that we would match for a certified employee. So our handbook states that if you're a part-time employee, those benefits are prorated. And so we believe that I can offer this salary hourly rate and prorate the benefits and still stay cost neutral by bringing it inside. There is a little bit of benefit of bringing it inside is because we only run a 4-hour day, or we're 50% time. Majority of the time that we need the nursing services is over the lunch hour for the med component of it, but also then we have some injuries out on the playground, right? And so it's nice to have that nurse here. If we have an internal position, then I can set those hours. When it's an external contract, they tell me when they're going to serve the district. So absolutely we'll bring that cost analysis to you in February, but I think at the end of the day, we might be able to do it cost neutral. Sturgeon Bay last year went internal with theirs. Gibraltar's going internal with theirs, and I'm not sure where Southern Door is, but they cut services for all of us.
Okay, when all those services were begun a decade or so ago, we never were sophisticated enough to put those costs in. We were just scared that a competing provider was snooping into the community. We wanted to grab it up before it ever happened. And I've certainly become more sophisticated now. And certainly the costs that we're paying reflect all those indirect costs, and they're probably pretty competitive in what you're going to increase.
Is there a motion to approve superintendent posting the position?
I move that we approve the position for an interim nurse.
I'll second that.
Questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Then we have the high school athletic code update.
So in your packet, the athletic director and high school principal would like to clarify the language that's currently in the handbook. So you have the language that's currently there and recommending just more clear, concise language if we have to, when we're in an investigation. Mr. Schaefer, anything to add?
No. I'm sorry, I have one little distraction, but I heard the tail end. No. It's to make sure that we are consistent in our investigation procedures. Yep.
I understand because I was distracted too. He doesn't think it's funny. Okay, so questions or discussion on that language clarification? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
My only question is, why is the parents the last step? As a parent, I would want to know this was going on before it's all done, and oh, by the way, your kid did something stupid and a violation, and we investigated it, and we're going to do whatever we're going to do. And oh, let's let the parents know about it. As a parent, wouldn't you want to know early on in the process?
Well, part of it's the timeliness of it. When you have information, right, it starts with being able to talk, because you don't know what information is going to be presented. So going through the investigative procedure, you're bringing in students, you're talking to them, you're hearing, especially if there's multiple students, that takes time, so you got to process your information. So
I'm just saying, though, as a parent, wouldn't you want to know at the very beginning that this is going on, instead of at the end?
I think he means
I'm not a parent anymore.
notifying parents that it's
Yeah,
happening, not
the first step.
necessarily bringing them in.
No,
Is
yeah,
that
but
what
just
you-
notifying them, yeah. Maybe times have changed, but I guess when I was a parent, I would have liked to have known this was happening before getting a letter from the school saying, by the way, Michael can't do whatever it is because he's done something, da-da-da-da. Nobody told me about this.
Well, I, like I had said before, I
I
think.
mean,
when you're-
what would be wrong with doing that? This is a
So
note.
you're saying you want the parent involved from, like in step 2 instead of way down in
Not
step,
involved, and just notified.
notify the parent of it?
Yeah.
Well, a couple of things, because we don't know the direction and what information's gonna be presented, so, I mean, parents are always notified, even in the most simplest interactions, so even when you talk with a student about a behavioral issue, parents are notified immediately after that, so.
So you wouldn't mind that if we move that up to step 2?
If I can, I think if we put it in step 2, then we absolutely have to make that phone call to parents before we can complete the investigation. And in some cases, I think, speaking for Mr. Schaefer, he really tries to notify parents on the front end of it and to get them, but there are times and situations where it's moving so quickly that reach out to the parent in the middle of the investigation gives opportunity for conversation that we can't have happen to be able to get a clear, accurate investigation going through the process. So as much as we look at a student and say, you can't talk about this, if we're dealing with a situation where we have 10, 12, 15 kids, right? I'll just, for example, let's go to the bonfire that happened a couple of years ago, right? When you're trying to complete an investigation with a large number of students, you may not be able to get that phone call to the parent when you're still trying to get accurate information from the student. So absolutely, we, of course, make that relationship with the parent, that connection with the parent when we can, but there may be instances where it doesn't happen until we've completed the initial conversation with the parents and, or with the students, and then we go back and reach out to the parents. Did I
Then make it-
capture that correctly, Mr. Schaefer?
Then make it step 3.
Did you hear?
Can I hear the steps?
Make it step 3.
He said make it.
Yeah, okay, so can you just repeat the steps then?
So right now, what you have is notify students of alleged violation, investigate and question involved parties, offer students the opportunity for oral or written statement, decide as to whether the student has violated the athletic code, determine consequences and inform student, and then step 5 is notify parent.
So I guess my question is, what is the enhancement by making it 3 instead of 5?
Well, as a parent, do you want to be the last to know? I mean, as a parent, would you really want to be the last to know that this is going on in school? I don't think as a parent I would.
Well, I think too, I mean, till you actually, sometimes you assume that the student
Yeah,
is
but-
involved in it without having, accurate information. So if you contact the parent on an assumption, you may be maybe inflaming the situation more than it needs to be.
Well, I guess investigating the question, there's at some point you may stop it before you notify the parents. This may stop.
Yeah, I can just, as the parent,
Parent?
see it both ways, right? Like, you have the right to remain silent, and you have a right to an attorney. And like, in this situation, the parent kind of acts as the advocate / attorney, like, don't write that, or like, could help, kind of formulate the child's written response. So I think in a functional family, that would work to the benefit of the student. My concern is in less than functional families with maybe different child-parent interactions, that it's where the administration can actually like help the kid, you know, present whatever the issue was to the parents to kind of mitigate whatever harmful response would come at home. And so it's like I can see it both ways where, yeah, it's just complicated because just my personal parenting style is more hands-off. Like, if you did it, like, you're it, like, you fix it, you know, like, I'm here if you need some guidance, but like, take, you know, kind of, yeah, you fix it because you did it type of thing.
You know, I'm just saying as a parent, you'd want to know that was going on.
But that's where I feel like the best thing that you can do as somebody that's conducted a lot of investigations and has gone through the process, there's so many different things that can happen. There's so many viewpoints, there's so many facts that come that weren't presented to you. And having the opportunity to call the parent at the end allows you to have all the facts, all the understanding, everything that's what you're able to do your job the most effectively. All the information that you got through the interviews with all the students that are involved. And that way when I call the parent, everything that I can say is factual based off of all the information I got.
Okay, then what, a compromise. Keep it the way it is, and after notifies student of alleged violation, put a comma, and student is advised to notify his parents, his or her parents. It's up to him.
Has the opportunity.
I guess it comes down to, is it an actual interview or is it an interrogation? I mean, where you want your child to be not interrogated, you know, just interviewed. I mean, I guess there's a...
Is there a difference? I mean,
Well, I
Well,
don't
and
know.
like for me being notified, but yet not being able to like come, like that's even worse. You know, like I don't know. I get it because you know, like you're the one, you know, kind of doing it. So do parents the majority of the time like complicate matters, or like is it more efficient, you know, and like fair to the kids with early parental notification, or is it where like if it's like a big deal you kind of recommend like, hey, let's get mom and dad in early, or
It goes to your point that you had, that you had mentioned earlier, to someone who works with a lot of different parents, right? There's so many different factors there. Yes, some parents, but you're going to contact them in step one, you know, they'll be like, yep, just let me know, keep me posted, that's great. And then in other situations, it can actually be more obstructive and where finding the truth becomes a lot more difficult.
But I guess that's true. But now we're operating on, well, you know, this may not come from a really good family, so we gotta do the whole thing skewing it as though it's not a quote normal family, whatever a normal family is, as opposed to, I guess is what's the right thing to do? And I would think if you ask the majority of parents, they would say, yeah, this happened, I'd like to know about it.
They do.
But you're
Or you don't
arguing,
to the end.
I would say, I'm also a parent, but I would say that if my kid was involved in something and it would help the investigation and I wasn't notified, I mean, I would certainly be there for them, but absolutely, I mean, I would trust that administration would have the knowledge or the history to know how to handle it, how to go about their way of, if it has to be done timely. I mean, I don't think they're trying to.
No, I don't say that, but I'm just thinking, as a parent, I'm thinking, back in the old days, like
I would want
20-some
to
years ago,
know,
when I was
Jerry,
a
too,
had a
but
kid,
I'm just saying
I would want to be notified.
I would too, but I think that. if I have to-
I would
Students first.
say at the administration's call, you know your parents, you know the circumstances, and I think I would have confidence that you would make the right decision.
Well, then that's got to be put in there, then, that step two, the determination can be made by administration whether or not to notify the parents at that time. And if not, then you go back, wait till step 5. Giving them the prerogative to do it. What do you think most of the parents would want if they were sitting here in the room?
I think it's so situational. I mean,
No, I'm asking the question, what do you think most parents would want?
me
No, this is-
personally, I don't want to know till the end because,
Okay.
like, I know my kid, and I know, like that's just my thing.
I think there's a
I love
difference,
things to do.
and I might suggest or ask to table it. We can come back and have some conversations at the administrative level to try to bring some clarity. There's a difference between a major and a minor infraction.
that's what I think.
And I think we could probably bring that into the language for clarity, that if it's a major infraction, we're gonna notify parents for multiple reasons. One major infraction might be that you are going to be seeking a lawyer, and that's something that you need to know on the front end. A minor infraction, kid's got a hood up, or a kid is profanity, that can happen at the end is, after conversation, I wanna inform you that here's the action that I'm gonna have, consequence for your child. I think the other piece in here is, as I'm looking at it, is that before the student is notified of the consequence, parents would be notified of the consequence. So parents know that the student's going to get a detention before,
My final observation, in the old policy, the parent came in at step 3, much early on. Now, the parent comes in at the end. So I just maybe the question is, why have we moved that? If it was okay in our old policy to bring the parent in at step 3, why is it no longer in vogue?
Because it may have been impeded. It may have caused issue. I mean, we changed policy.
We don't know. No one's told us that reason we're changing that is because it caused issues. So why do, okay, I'll ask the
If you,
question. Why
if
we're
you look
changing
at
it?
step 4, right? Step 4 is talking about decide as to whether the student has
No.
violated. So,
No, the number, in the old policy, number 3 was,
yep,
request a student present, his or her side of the story, grant student permission upon request to be accompanied by his or her parent. So why do we not want that now? You rate the
I
policy,
think
why'd you
that's where you
change it?
think it could slow the process.
Well, why did you change it?
I guess, yeah, I'd ask, was there a real need to change the policy? I mean, what kind of, situation came up that you felt the need, or Brooke felt the need to change the policy?
so when you're going through an investigation, right, there's
Yeah.
a lot of different
Okay.
variables, there's a lot of different factors that happen. With having a,
The question is
It's hard for
basically
me
this,
to
why
answer
are you bringing a change to the board? What was wrong with the old policy that now you want a new policy?
The reason,
How did the old policy not work?
through our experiences and.
No, give me some specifics. What went wrong with this old policy?
Well,
Well,
I don't think you can give us a specific.
it's hard for me because now you're asking me to violate.
No, I'm not. I don't want
confidentiality.
specific.
If you're asking me specifically what happened,
No,
now I'm
I-
violating that. I
No,
can't do that.
From the 1,000-foot level.
Okay.
not able to.
Why was this not able, why did this old policy not work?
For a few reasons.
I'm
Number
listening.
one, to make sure whatever we're communicating to parents, that we have all the facts. Because believe it or not, when you do interrogate, sometimes you don't get all the facts. Sometimes you get false facts, you get false information. So in the realm of discovering the truth and finding out what happened and was there a code violation, many times you have to talk to a lot of different people. Now, there are some people, if a parent comes in and you're in the middle of it, so now time's passed, right? You gotta wait for somebody to come in, so now that's delaying, now you're allowing time for conversation to happen outside of your office. Believe that or not, it does happen, people start talking. And then it's do you have parent A that is there, objectively listening, or are they the one that is going to immediately be on the defensive and then really, tarnish what is being discovered? Because that I do experience a lot of times, Jerry, when I meet with students, like when I'm talking with a student, and I would never call it an interrogation. It's more of a investigating, asking questions, trying to understand. Sometimes what the students say it's not the majority, it's the minority, but sometimes what the students say, and where they take personal responsibility for what they did, and then a parent tries to defend that and say, no, that they didn't do that. So then you haven't come up with really the truth and what the fact is. So we always try to be incredibly respectful. We always try to notify. And a lot of times when it pertains to their child, I go through the whole thing, like what questions were asked, what were the responses, who was in the room with me, those types of things. And then what we would do before the punishment is given, or the consequence given for the action. So I feel if the parent is in this step earlier, I do feel in some cases it would really compromise coming up with the truth. At the end allows us where we have felt like we've gotten all the facts, we've done our due diligence, we've talked to everybody, and then the information that we present to parents is the most factual and the most precise about what we were able to obtain in sometimes many, many hours of this process.
So the old one that, actually the parents came in the old policy twice, step 3 and step 5. Notify the parent guardian before any disciplinary action is taken. This says notify the parents before any action is enforced.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little different. We've already decided what we're going to do. By the way, we're going to let the parents know about it. There's a difference there. Subtle difference, but it's a real difference.
But this is just referring to athletic code or athletic handbook. This does not refer to the overall disciplinary procedure.
Correct.
Outside of athletics.
Yeah, I understand, but athletics play such a big role in everybody's lives these days.
Yeah.
Well,
Is there an opportunity to add, like, early in the step, like, patient, the student is offered the opportunity to contact their parents? Like kind of leave it up to the kid?
I would say when kids participate, and I don't know of all sports, but I know when most kids participate in a sport, they sign a contract with the coach or whatever and agree to certain standards. Correct me if I'm wrong. So if you're signing something saying you're going to live to those standards and fulfill your contractor side of things, not vape, not drink, whatever, then I think that student is taking ownership, right? So they know the consequence, right? They know the handbook, they can read it, and if it's at 5 or 3 or 2 or whatever the number is, they know what they're signing, right?
yeah.
So if they don't, then hey, I'm not playing football because my parents aren't gonna know when Susie told me that I was vaping in the bathroom. I mean, I'm sorry, that's just my 2 cents of.
Yeah, it's the athletic code.
It's an athletic code. Kids, it's not academically if they're doing something on school grounds or, bringing something into the school, Jerry. We're talking about.
No, you get me all wrong. I'm just really, we have a policy in place that was approved by this group
And we
obviously
found
sometime.
that.
And now they want to change it, and
sometimes-
I'm asking why we're changing that part of it. And I haven't heard an
You
answer
gave a
yet.
good explanation as to the why sometimes.
I haven't heard that yet.
My
I think-
answer was, we want to make sure we have all the facts, so everything.
So you were getting the facts before under the old policy?
I wasn't here when that was in place.
No, but you're here now when you're making this policy, so you
Right.
obviously have some experience of why you're making the change.
Right, and that's why I'm saying, in all of my experiences, it has been much more productive to do it at the end because I want to make sure what I'm communicating is factual. So when we come up with the point where we're determining the consequences, okay, so let's say student A was drinking at a party, right? They say, yes, I was drinking at a party. We go through that process, okay? Then we have to inform them, okay, this is what's going to happen. You're going to miss 25% of your season, or if we're implying the honesty clause, this is what's happening. if that hasn't been applied. So there's some work that you have to do to make sure and understand the student's background. So then once we have it, then we can call Mr. Jerry and say, Mr. Jerry, this is what happened with your child, student A. This is the process that we went through. This is what was said. This is what we have, the information from your student. This is the questions asked. This is what the answers were given. And here is the consequence.
Good explanation. I appreciate it.
I
Love it.
I think we used to not, we didn't, when I say we didn't know how to investigate. And based on something that I was involved in a year or two ago, we maybe didn't investigate really well.
Mhm.
We
Oh,
had to
yeah,
get
I
the
know.
attorneys involved.
Mhm.
So I think some lessons have been learned regarding investigation of student infractions, or what you want to call them. And that may be the reason for the change.
So you'll have to
So my
answer
question-
my
so-
question.
So I can see it both ways, like Mrs. Guida, I can see it both ways. Our poster says students first. What's best for the student?
And I would hope our administration knows, trust them.
Since there hasn't been any motion to table this, I would move at this point to accept the,
It's already been moved.
oh, it has?
Mhm. That's why we're discussing it. Motion
Okay.
made, second, and we're discussing
I guess I
it.
lost
I
track.
don't have a motion in a second.
We didn't have a motion.
No,
This
I'm
has all
sorry.
been discussion.
So, okay, thank you, Barry. I would move to accept the changes in the disciplinary procedure as outlined in the athletic code.
Second.
Is there further questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. That was good discussion. Then we have the open enrollment availability for 2026-27 school year that we need to approve.
Every year annually, the board has to set the enrollment caps for the 26-27 school year. Administration has historically used the calculation for special education recommended by the Department of Public Instruction. That calculation indicates that we are more than full in our special education services availability. And when we look at our classroom size, last year we adjusted a little bit at the elementary level, but we would be full going into second grade, and we would be full going into fifth grade. The other grade levels have have several open spots for open enrollment.
I just have a question about like siblings. Is there like, so say sibling number 1 is in second grade, but then you have like 2 others in grades that aren't full, like how does that?
So we actually had an incident like that I think it was last fall. Aaron, do you want to?
Yeah, historically, we did have that in place where we would take siblings. What we started running into was, and no way to control it, you would end up getting classes that really started to fill pretty significantly. So when we changed that, I want to say it was about 2, maybe 3 years ago, where we did not take siblings. I know of one family where there was one child, there was 3 from the family, 2 were able to come in, the third one just needed to wait. Eventually, because the numbers keep getting bigger as you go higher in the grade levels, when we got to a grade level where there was space, they were able to come in because they could be on the waiting list for that. Yeah, we just found that it started to become cumbersome by taking siblings for some of the classrooms when there wasn't space.
Is there a motion?
I would move to approve the open enrollment availability for 2026-2027 school year as presented.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Then we have the course proposal, Algebra 2 Fundamentals. Becky, how do you spell your last name?
How do I spell it? L-I-U.
L-I-U, that's what I thought. Thank you.
Okay, so can I talk about it a little bit? So, my time? Okay, Jerry, are you ready? 'cause I'm ready for you. That's why I got Mrs. Liu right here in the bullpen, so she's ready. But, so, one of the great things when we are doing our collaboration, when we're talking about students with intervention, and we talk about our goals, right? And one of our big goals at the high school is we want to make sure that our students are as academically prepared as possible. And we wanted to talk about like the philosophy of our math department. We're very fortunate that both Ms. Liu and Mr. Kennett are NWTC instructors. So the NWTC math and its value and the complexity of the course or lack thereof, depending on who you talk to. But so the NWTC course, what we were having is we had students who were taking, they would do Algebra 1, they do geometry, and instead of doing going into Algebra 2, they would do NWTC. NWTC is really like a beginning algebra. So mathematically, if they're doing that their junior year, they're really not giving them anything that's helping them learn and grow. They're just, it's a math that's below 2 math courses that they already took. So the progression of that didn't really make a lot of sense. The great thing with talking with Mr. Kennett and Mrs. Liu is the philosophy that we believe, and really it was great because our math team really believes that our kids are capable, but creating the class Algebra Fundamentals allows every student to get to Algebra 2, but the fundamentals, or Algebra 2 fundamentals, is not quite as a deep dig dive, but it goes at a slower pace and really makes sure that our students have a really good understanding of what they need before they take a high stakes test like the ACT. So they are still exposed to the math that they're gonna have in that environment, but we're setting a high bar. And once again, we keep talking about pushing the needle, our growing of students, our achievement continuing to improve, and really just speaks volumes of our math department at the high school level of wanting to make sure that every student has the opportunity to be exposed to a high degree of math. And then fundamentals for that student who Algebra 2 might be going a little bit too quick and might be preparing them for more like pre-calc. Algebra 2 fundamentals really allows that slow process to make sure students are really understanding it, but still getting exposed to Algebra 2 math. She coached me well. So.
In a nutshell, right?
So this
Other
means,
questions for Mr. Schaefer or Mrs. Liu?
we have, how many credits are required in math right now?
3 credits.
3. So this counts as the.
Yeah, it really is, it's really, the goal is that it's like set it even playing field as Algebra 2, which, I mean, across the state should be the goal that high schoolers get to, right? Like, every student should be able to do Algebra 2. What happens is some students, if they haven't if they haven't just had the full grasp of all the information to get Algebra 2, it's a big leap to have them in the same class as students who are on a path to get to calculus. It's not that we don't believe they can do it, they can, but this Algebra 2 fundamentals is built to be more supportive, to help them to get it, to give them the success at Algebra 2 that they can have, but they may not have in a Algebra 2 class that goes deeper and looks at like just much bigger concepts. Algebra 2 fundamentals is dreamed to be just what it sounds like, the fundamentals of Algebra 2, right? What things do they need without necessarily the depth, but still some rigor. The most disheartening thing that was happening in my past few years is a student gets through geometry and they go, what's the easiest? I want to take that class because it's easy. And then you know what they do on their standardized testing? They didn't grow, like, because they're doing it because they can just, I checked that off, right? Like, I got that, but this is meant to still give them rigor that they can be successful at.
Yeah. Is trigonometry still a big part of Algebra 2?
Trigonometry is kind of built into at the end of geometry, and then also in Algebra 2. They see it then in pre-calc too, right? So instead of a trig class, in how math is set up now, standard-wise, it's kind of in each of those classes.
Okay.
So it wouldn't go away. They would still see trig. They can still be successful at trig. just would go at a pace that supports them more.
Is there a motion?
Could you explain to me what we're doing again?
Proposing a new course, Algebra 2 Fundamentals.
Now, how is that different than the Algebra 2 as it is today?
Because it's built to give them more support for the students who can be successful at Algebra 2, but don't need they're not going on to calculus, right? We don't want them to give up on math. We want them to be growing so that on the scores that we see across the state, we want to see their growth and they can do it, but they need a class that challenges them and gives them rigor. But the other thing you have to understand in the math kind of curriculum is we have intervention built into Algebra 1, or there's an intervention class that goes parallel to it. Geometry has an intervention class that goes parallel.
What does that mean by intervention class?
Like there's a supported extra class that we fill in gaps for those students. We help pre-teach or like go reinforce what's learning. I mean, those classes are between 8 and 12 students, giving them the support to be successful in those. But then after geometry, we don't have an intervention. So Algebra 2 Fundamentals is meant to be giving those students still the rigor, but building that extra support into it.
So a combination of the course and intervention built into the class.
Yeah.
So, because they're taking more time and identifying where student needs are or where there are gaps in their learning. And it just allows a slower process. They still get the credit, they still get full math credit, and it's in Algebra 2. It's just not a deep dive like it is in our Algebra 2, which is a prelude to pre-calc. So our advanced track students would go to Algebra 2 and then go into pre-calc. The other great part about it is the student is in Algebra 1 and they grinded it and they worked really hard, but they're around that C range, and then they go into geometry and it was hard, but it's, they're getting the foundation that they need and all the skills, but they're not really like excelling, right? And we know that the destination is Algebra 2 is probably where their math will stop. The great part about that is we're meeting our students where they're at, and for those students who need the extra support and need more instruction and need more intervention and help plugging gaps, they're still getting the content, just not at the level of someone who's going to progress much further in math.
We're giving kids an option.
And
Yeah.
just to clarify, because these kids, to get that third credit, were then taking a different class at NWTC that was actually
Yeah.
kind of below the rigor of
Correct.
this class.
Correct.
Yeah.
It was otherwise a little bit too easy to say, oh, I'm not a math person, which I hate that, right? Because these students can be successful. They just need a class that is built in a way to support them to be successful in Algebra 2. They're not any different than their classmate who's doing Algebra 2, and they just need some extra support. So that's how this course is kind of built to be.
And the other cool
I
part.
coming from, I used to teach math in high school. And in high school, I hated geometry. Loved trigonometry, hated geometry. In hindsight, I always used to think they should have called geometry logic class.
Maybe you need a new geometry class. You come sit in geometry any day you need to.
Well, I was on the cusp of it before they went through
Just saying.
the old math and the new math and all that crap. So, anyway, anything to do to advance math, I support all of it.
Is there a motion, Heidi? No, not yet.
I make a motion to go.
Is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve the math proposal as presented to us.
Second.
Further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Then we have the annual Trees for Tomorrow field trip.
Not too much additional detail to share, just that it is the annual request for approval. It's something that has been going on even before I got here, so it's been a number of years. And as the group has presented to you, it's a great opportunity for students. They get to do some learning in an environment that's outside of the school building. And from all my years being there, getting a chance to see kids flourish that don't flourish in a textbook setting. And they get an opportunity to really show what they know in an environmental setting. So it's neat to see. And wanted to bring that forward for approval for this fall.
Is this the second or third year you've done
This is my 8th year doing this, and
8th year.
Like I said, it's been going on for a handful of years before I got here, so this is probably 13, 14.
So, just, can we just not fit this into your curriculum, so you don't have to come to us with hand and?
We can take a look at it. The only reason I hesitate is if there would be some change or something along those lines. Who knows? You get new staff members. There's some parameter that changes with it. There's an advantage to bringing it forward, but it would be nice to just kind of reverse that.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the Trees for Tomorrow field trip.
Second?
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried. Then we have some policy readings. We all have these in our packet. Are there any questions or discussion?
I
about
just
any?
have one thing, and I've actually been in conversation with Dr. Johnson, who's the medical liaison, and with Deb Christensen, but there is a new intranasal epinephrine auto-injector instead of the IM EpiPens. And the school is, like, there's a program to get the auto-injectors, both the junior and the regular size that are paid for, I think, through whoever makes EpiPen. There is a similar program through this intranasal. So for staff members that it's just it's a great option. So similar to Narcan, it is administered the same way. So Deb and Dr. Johnson, and then I actually was talking with Dr. Colvin, the pediatrician, and everybody thinks it's a nice idea. What's nice about the intranasal is that it's there's a 2-year lifespan on the little kid dose, the 33 to 66 pound dose, and then it's a 2.5-year lifespan for the regular above 66 pound dose. And so I think the regular EpiPens are just a year. So it allows for a longer half-life and just a different route of administration, which I think is a bit more maybe accessible to kind of non-medical people.
Is this something we need to take up in a policy?
Because the
One of
policy
these
talks
policies?
about injectors, it
Right.
talks about and it's a registered nurse and auto injectors, and so it's intranasal, there's no injection, so just,
We'll bring the
kinda-
policy back.
Yeah.
Jeff talked to me.
Yeah.
And so, once we get approval from Dr. Johnson.
Yeah.
Then we'll circle back and make sure that we get the language correct in the policy, and then we'll bring that policy
Yeah,
back to the board.
overall, they're new, so I think kind of everybody's getting experience with it, but it is, again, a really nice option, and it's similar to Narcan, and, in administrations, and the vial even looks like Narcan, so I just think it's great to have another option, and I think there's like a free, the NEPI for Schools program like EpiPen does.
Ms. Beckman?
I would just say from the policy committee standpoint, that first grouping is both first and second reads, because these are just technical corrections that have come to us from Neola. They've all been vetted legally, and the staff has reviewed them, and the changes are very minor, sometimes wording changes, updates of various sort from the various laws. And then the second group is the first reading. These are more extensive policy revisions, and we are working with contact with Neola, and these have been gone through very carefully by administration as well as the policy committee. So I would make a motion to approve the first, second reading of the technical corrections, volume 35, number 1, A through F as listed.
Is there a second on the
Second.
first grouping?
I'd second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Then we have the
And
first,
The second group is the first reading. These are more extensive. and everyone has had a chance to look at that. So I would move to approve the first reading of policies A through R as listed.
Second.
Are there questions or discussion on any? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Then we have a new hire, Merlinda Agia, a custodian.
As I had shared with the board in my notes last week and earlier this fall, with the moving of positions and creating the .5 associate position, filling our bus driver position of a .5, we had a full-time custodian position that has been open since early fall. And so this is looking at replacing that position so that we're fully staffed in the evening, because we've been down.
Is there a motion to approve that custodian position?
I'll make a motion to approve the new hire for the custodian position.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Then we have a request to move the February meeting to February 25th at 6 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The school board will convene an executive session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85(1) to consider the employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data over any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, more particularly the district superintendent evaluation. That concludes our regular business. Is there a motion to convene to closed session?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote, Keith?
Aye.
Debbie? Aye.
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 Motion carried at 7:06 p.m. We're back in open session at 8:15 p.m. That concludes all of our business for the evening. Our next school board meeting will be February 25th. That's change. If the superintendent has a need for any committee meetings, in the meantime, she'll be in touch with each of us. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried at 8:16 p.m.
That was